Hey, everybody. So it should be our last time talking about Jussie Smollett. I don't want to talk about him any further than this, but there are a few kind of like closing thoughts I have. I don't like to do multiple videos on one subject, and I've already done a Jussie Smollett video, but there's a few more things I have to say, and then hopefully, unless there is another huge break in the story, I can put it behind me and say, all right, that's enough of that. So, I'm not like one of these people on YouTube that just want to milk the same fucking thing over and over again. Oh, can I get a little bit more milk out of it? No, I'm not that kind of YouTuber. So, fuck that. But in this case, I gotta make one more fucking Jussie Smollett video. And, of course, some people say his name is pronounced Smollett. No, it's not. It's pronounced Smollett. Even if it is pronounced Smollett, I'm gonna pronounce it fucking Smollett. Let me put it that way. So I've seen a new talking point emerging on the left after they look. Let's just go over the timeline really quick here, and then we'll get to the new left-wing talking point I've seen on this and why it's stupid. So this guy, he was walking to Subway at 2 a.m. and some MAGA hat wearing white dudes showed up. Called him homophobic and racist stuff, beat the shit out of him, put a noose around his neck, and, just, that was it, I guess. Then he fucking went back to his hotel or his house or wherever he was, and he was, I got the noose, and, I'm all beat up, and, call the police. And the media, the liberal media, and the liberal, even politicians like Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi and all these, oh, it's such a crime, oh, it's such a tragedy, oh my God, these MAGA hat wearing psychos, they're like the new Klan out there, just beating up gay people, beating up black people, they're horrible, they're monsters, they're demons. And, the whole story, of course, very recently was all revealed to be a hoax. Jussie Smollett paid two Nigerian brothers who had worked with him on Empire, the show he's on, to beat him up and to, fake the hate crime so that he could raise his profile and perhaps even raise his salary on the show Empire. Because the whole impetus behind it was he felt like he wasn't making enough money, so he felt like if he raised his profile, he'd make more money and gain some sympathy, and he'd be the new poster boy for, he's the chosen one because he's a victim. And, of course, being a victim is now a form of social currency. So the more of a victim you are, the more latitude you'll receive, the more special treatment you'll get. And so instead of, trying to actually make it as an actor by doing a good job as an actor, he decides, well, I'm going to, cut the line by faking this hate crime. And it almost worked. It almost fucking worked. If he had been just a little bit more clever, he would have gotten away with it. And the police would still be out there looking for two white dudes wearing MAGA hats who attacked him. So let's talk about this new liberal talking point I've heard. And I've heard it on the Young Turks, and I've heard it all over the place on Twitter and stuff. And it goes a little something like this. It goes, the real tragedy here. After being wrong about everything, they're now going to tell us what the real tragedy is. The real tragedy here is that now when people hear a story like this, they're going to question it. Now, when people hear a story like this, they're going to be skeptical. Yeah, that's kind of the proper reaction, right? When did it become a bad thing to question a story or to be skeptical of a story? Now, I'm not going to let the right wing totally off the hook here, because really their reaction when the Jussie Smollett story broke was no better. Because when it broke, it played to both sides of outrage culture. On the left, everyone, oh, poor Jussie, he's a victim, oh my God, he's such a victim. But the right was like, he's a liar, he's a lying piece of scumbag shit, and he made it all up, and he's just trying to victimize people, and the press is just running with a lie. Now, it turned out that the right wing was right on that, but they could have easily been wrong. Yeah, sure. They could have been wrong. Maybe it did happen. But there was no skepticism on their part either. Both sides jumped immediately to a conclusion. But you know what? The side that jumps to the right conclusion doesn't really get the brunt of the shit, do they? And nor should they, because they were right. Even if they were premature in drawing that conclusion, they still turned out ultimately to be vindicated, so they don't deserve the same amount of shit. So we're not going to do a total whataboutism here, but we are going to say that, yeah, the response on the right-wing side was a little bit too assured itself. But you know what? That's just how it goes today, because neither side values skepticism. Neither side values questioning the narrative. Both sides just have their own narrative. Basically, if something happens, any event that happens in the world that has a political dimension to it, people ask themselves, does what happened go against my politics, or does it go in favor of my politics? And they decide whether or not it's true from there. Like, if something happens that makes Trump supporters look bad, the instant response from the Trumpies is, fake news, it's all a lie. If something happens that makes Trump, by the same token, if something happens that makes Trump look bad, the left is all about, yep, it's absolute gospel truth, no reason to question it, it's just, yep, perfect, pure, unadulterated gospel truth, you could fucking set your watch by it. And both of those reactions are stupid. But what's really stupid is, if you're on the left and you just got taken for a ride by this whole Jussie Smollett thing, if he just played you like a cheap fiddle, if he just played to your believe the victim mentality and your, everything is racist mentality and your everything is homophobic mentality and your everything is whatever mentality, if he just exploited the fuck out of that to play you like a cheap fiddle for his own personal gain, and at the end of that, your response is, aw, now I might have to be more skeptical. Well, that's horrible. I don't want to be skeptical. Yes, you should be more skeptical. That's the right thing. If you had been like that when the Jussie Smollett case broke, if you had questioned it, that doesn't mean disbelieving it. That doesn't mean saying it's bullshit. That just means saying we're waiting for the facts to come in. We have some questions. There are certain elements of his story that we're not sure if they add up or not. We stand with him. We don't want to make it seem like we don't believe him, but at the same time, we cannot fully commit to believing him because people do, in fact, lie. But they couldn't do that. They couldn't do that because he's black and he's gay. And he came into a fucking room with a noose around his neck saying he'd been beaten up. So any sort of level of questioning that was viewed by the left wing as an outright conspiracy theory. Alternet called it a conspiracy theory. Huffington Post called it a conspiracy theory. All of these left-wing media outlets said it was a conspiracy theory to even question Jussie Smollett, to approach the subject matter with even a shred of skepticism, anything other than blind, gullible belief, to perceive it in any way other than that is a conspiracy theory, and you're a right-winger, and you're insane. And now that it's proven that the conspiracy theorists, quote-unquote, were vindicated, now they're saying that the real tragedy of it all is that now they can't be as gullible. No, you stupid fucks, the real tragedy is that you were ever that gullible in the first place. The real tragedy is that you're so wrapped up in identity politics that you think that there's no way a gay black man could lie to you. Because I mean, being gay and black, that's practically fucking qualifications for liberal sainthood, right? And you know what? It's going to be part of his whole redemption arc, too. Yeah, I hear they're writing him off the show Empire. Don't you love that? They're writing him off. They're letting him come back and shoot the scenes that write him off the show. When Roseanne Barr was fired for a tweet that some people construed as racist, even though it's pretty dubious to imagine that tweet was actually racist. When she was fired for a quote-unquote racist tweet, she didn't get to come back to her show and act out the part where she's written off the show. She was just unceremoniously killed between seasons. Like, oh, what happened to Roseanne, the titular character of the show that it's been about for fucking, 20 some odd years? Oh, well, she died between seasons. What are you gonna do? Show goes on. Kevin Spacey, now he deserved to be written off his show, but he didn't get to come back and shoot his death scene or any of that. Once again, he died between seasons. Oh well, show goes on. But they can't do that with Jussie. They can't be like, Jussie's character died in between seasons. Welp, what are you gonna do? Show goes on. Kill his fucking character off. Show goes on. Now, maybe they were in a position where they couldn't quite do that because certain stuff had already been shot. I don't know. So maybe they had to bring him back for at least one thing but I mean, you could have fucking figured out a way around it, even if it came across a little awkward, like, Terrence Howard. I don't know Empire, so I don't know what the relationship is between the characters or even what's going on in it. But, I know Terrence Howard's in it, so he could have come in and been like, oh, shit, y'all. There was a drive-by shooting and Jussie Smollett's character, whatever his name was, is dead. Oh, God, no. They could have done that. There's ways you could fucking do it. Hell, the fucking Fast and the Furious movies CG'd Paul Walker into the movie, so that they could have some sort of conclusion to his character arc, CG Jussie Smollett jumping off a fucking bridge to his death. I can't take it anymore. Splash. But no, instead they bring him back to shoot a little bit more. Well, let me tell you something. He ain't gonna be gone long. I can tell you that right now. If he had said something, because if he'd said something sexist or homophobic or whatever the fuck, he'd be gone forever. Till the end of time, never coming back. But because he just did something minor like faked a hate crime and tried to vilify an entire group of people and all this stuff, that's okay. He'll be back in, a year. He'll be back in a year. Not on Empire, but someone's going to hire him. I'll tell you exactly how it's going to play out. This is my prediction. And, like all predictions, I could be wrong, but this is what I think is going to happen with Jussie Smollett going forward. I think in about a year, there's going to be some kind of show out there somewhere that's struggling. It's going to be doing okay in the ratings, but they'd like to be on stronger ground, and they need some kind of hook to get people into the show. So what they're going to do is they're going to introduce like a scoundrel character, a dubious, untrustworthy kind of character who seems like a good guy on the surface, but he's actually not. And you know who they're going to get to play that character? Jussie fucking Smollett. They're going to use this incident of people knowing that he's an untrustworthy person. They're just going to use that to their advantage and cast him as an untrustworthy character. But they're going to make him a likable, untrustworthy character. They're going to make his ruthless self-interest kind of an endearing quality. And that's how Jussie's going to ultimately play this off. He's going to be like the unapologetic rogue. He's going to be the guy who he doesn't play by the rules of society. That's going to be his character on the show. That's going to be how he presents himself in the public. He's going to be kind of the like, I'm a good person, wink, wink kind of guy. And people are going to eat it the fuck up. And there's going to be a bunch of people outraged that he's got his job back. And there's going to be a bunch of people that are like, come on, forgive him. It was a year ago. And it's going to reignite the firestorm. And they're going to use, and whatever show hires him is going to use that to raise the profile of their show, and people are going to tune in just to see what kind of character is Jussie Smollett going to play in this? What's his comeback going to be like? Oh, I mean, and it's just going to be, it could be that because Hollywood just looks at him and they can't hate him. They can't hate him. The fact that they're letting him come back and shoot his closing scenes for Empire is just proof that they can't bring themselves to hate him. They just look at him and like, wait a minute. I mean, so he's black, so that's one plus. And he's gay, so that's another plus. Does he hate Trump? He hates Trump too. That's 3 pluses in a fucking row. Oh, Jussie, I can't stay mad at you. You and your cute little black, gay, Trump hating. Come here, you little bugger. Come on. Oh, give me a hug, We're going to take care of you, Jussie. Don't you worry. We'll get your career back on track. America will love you again. And it'll all work out. It's all going to work out for Jussie. And it's all going to work out for these liberals who are doubling down on gullibility. And it's all going to work out for these conservatives who are going to spend the whole time rallying against it. They're just going to they're going to be just fuel on the fire for Jussie's comeback. Ugh. What a sickening fucking state of affairs. This is what happens when everyone just goes along with whatever truth supports the narrative. That's what I believe. When there's no critical thinking, when there's no evaluating everything, through a lens of objectivity. When there's no looking at things like, hey, here's a story. There are things about the story that maybe don't quite add up. That doesn't mean the story's false, but we need to question the story. We need to ask fucking tough questions, and we need to be open-minded, and we need to not jump to conclusions. That mentality exists virtually fucking nowhere. And as a result, this is the fucking situation we find ourselves in, where there is no truth, and there's just what serves various political factions' agendas the best. And even when, it's just so telling to me with that talking point from the left that after being gullibly manipulated by a narcissistic sociopath like Jussie Smollett, they view the real tragedy of the whole thing that now the people might be more skeptical and not as gullible because they value that gullibility. They think it's actually like an asset. And it's not even hard to see why. Because if you're not capable of cultivating that gullibility within yourself, then that makes it a little harder to just go along with whatever narrative suits your cause. And people can't have that. We can't have a world where people evaluate truth, based on evidence, based on objectivity, based on not jumping to conclusions. We can't have that world because then we can't have our magical choose-your-own-adventure fun land where everything in reality is just working towards your agenda. Because that's a bullshit fantasy. That's a bullshit fantasy. There's so many complex issues out there politically that guess what? Sometimes things happen that refute liberal arguments, that refute progressive arguments. And sometimes things happen that refute conservative arguments. But no one ever has to confront any of that because they can simply say, la, 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 fake news, la, 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 fake news, fake news. They don't have to pay a real attention to it. They don't have to say, oh, well, whatever. You get the point. I don't need to blather on endlessly about it. I've already been talking for 20 minutes. What do you think? Let me know in the comments section down below, and let me know if you like this video. And I'll put some stuff up here. Right here, it'll be links to other stuff that I've done. And if you like this video, go ahead and click on one of those as well. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed.